Welcome to In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, the founder and CEO of academia.edu, and on this podcast we dive deep, like really deep, into current academic research and why it might matter for you, whether you're a UX designer, developer, student, or just someone who interacts with technology and who doesn't these days. My goal here is to help unpack research, challenge assumptions, and make things just a little less mysterious. Today, I'll be talking through a paper by Gareth Slinn. Now, I want to be very clear before I go any further. As always, I'm discussing the work neutrally. I'm not endorsing it or taking a side. I think part of the fun, honestly, a bit of a mouthful, right? But let's zoom in. The core question Slinn is tackling is this. Is there a neurological saturation point at which your capacity for processing information in digital interfaces just slams into a wall? Is that point a defined boundary, not just a fuzzy gradual burnout? And the kicker is, what does that mean, especially for neurodivergent users, those whose cognitive processing works differently from the so-called neurotypical average? Why does this matter? Well, think about the last time you got overwhelmed by a website or an app, like you're in a flow, clicking along, and suddenly everything feels impossible. That classic I can't process anything else moment. Was that a gradual decline, or did you just, boom, hit a wall? Slinn argues that most models in use, cognitive load theory, I'm looking at you, act like the whole process is smooth and continuous, more or less linear. You keep expending a bit more effort as tasks get more complex, and only slowly do you tire out. But Slinn says that's not really how the brain works in practice. Instead, he proposes the cognitive saturation hypothesis, which honestly sounds like a band name, but that's another story. The idea is that there's an actual threshold, like the brain's working memory and attentional systems fill up their available slots, and once you're full, new info just bounces off. There isn't a gentle fade, it's more like a switch flips, and your performance crashes regardless of how motivated you are or familiar you are with the system. So, what did the paper actually do? Let's get a little geeky for a bit, but I'll keep it simple. Slinn draws on classic research, like Miller's magical number 7 on memory, and Cowan's update that maybe the real limit is 4. He looks at work on attention and task saturation from aviation and surgery, and smashes all that together in the world of digital UX. He distinguishes 3 things. Cognitive load, that's just the total demand. Cognitive overload, that's what happens when you go past your limit slowly. And this new thing, cognitive saturation, the sharp, abrupt limit. In the study Slinn proposes, you get participants, half neurotypical, half neurodivergent, and you toss them into tasks that get more and more complex. He looked at behavioral data, like how accurate they are and how fast. Physiological data, so eye tracking and heart rate variability, and subjective ratings like how hard did that feel? What did he find? He suggests, and remember I'm just presenting, not agreeing, that as users hit this hypothetical threshold, performance falls off a cliff. Task accuracy, completion rates, all that stuff nosedives when complexity crosses a certain line, and neurodivergent folks might hit that point earlier or differently than others. Here's a fun little digression, random, but it popped into my head. Do you remember when websites used to have like 15 pop-ups and dancing GIFs everywhere? Maybe that's why my memory for 90s web design feels like a fog. Anyway, back to the paper. The big practical takeaway, and I think this matters for all of us, is that if cognitive saturation is real, then digital tools like websites, forms, dashboards shouldn't just measure how much load a person is handling, but should actively watch for and respond to the risk of crossing that invisible threshold. Slinn suggests that we could make adaptive interfaces ones that throttle back complexity in real time, or split things into chunks, or add pacing so no one, especially not those with neurodivergent profiles, falls off that performance cliff. There's also a neat bit about using physiological markers like pupil dilation or blinking patterns to detect when someone is about to hit their limit. Now, as with any research, there are questions. Is this threshold really the same for everyone? How easy is it to measure? Does real-time intervention even work? Slinn's model is a hypothesis, a proposal. It's not written in stone. It's a framework to push us to think more about how our brains interact with digital complexity and how inclusive design depends on understanding and responding to cognitive realities, not just style preferences. If there's one thing I'd love listeners to take away, it's that academic research like this is not gospel. It's a launching pad, an interesting what if, that should make you reflect on your own digital frustrations and on what tools or workplaces could do better. Maybe ask yourself, where do I hit my personal cognitive wall? And how could things be designed to help me or someone very different from me?